Welcome to the Consciousness Anywhere and Everywhere podcast. I am Shannonohara, and I invite you to a completely new world of possibilities. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the final in the relationship series that's been going on for the majority of this year on the Consciousness Anywhere podcast. We are going to finish with arguably the most important relationship that you can have, which is the relationship you have with yourself. So if you have missed the previous relationship-focused podcasts, they're just previous to this one, and we have all sorts of different conversations, points of view, and insights coming from a lot of different really brilliant, generous, and open people about relationships. So the relationship you have with yourself is I would say probably the most important. And I say probably because I don't really want to give you my point of view that the relationship with yourself is the most important. However, the relationship you have with yourself really dictates and informs the relationship you have with everyone else. And if you can have a good, quote unquote, relationship with yourself, that can take a lot of pressure off of your relationships with others. For how many people look to sort of be validated or feel better about themselves, have their needs fulfilled by others in relationship, which isn't wrong. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just stating that that is. You look to have certain things fulfilled by others in relationships. And number one, are other people always capable of providing those things for you? And does it always come in the way that you want it? Does it actually work? And so one of the places that we need to start with relationship with self is, what are you looking for others to be for you that only you can be for yourself? And what constitutes a good relationship with self? And I keep doing air quotes with my fingers. If you're listening to the recording, I need to state it because you can't see me doing air quotes. Because good is 100% subjective, and a good relationship with self for one person will be different for another person. So really, you're the one-stop shop of who can determine if your relationship with you works for you. So from here forward, I'll probably replace good relationship with self with, does your relationship with yourself, just knowing you, does it work? Does it work for you? So what are some of the questions that we can ask, and what are some of the ways that we can begin to gain deeper riches in the relationship we have with ourselves? You have to start with the very simple, so simple that it's super easy to disregard and not go super deep with. But we have to start here. I'd like to start here with the question of, do you like yourself? And we have to start there because I assert that judgment of self, or judgment period, is how you erode your relationship with yourself. It's really how you erode everything. Judgment is a corrosive agent that actually only destroys. It creates nothing. It is so wild to me how judgment is so popularly and abundantly used amongst people due to its very corrosive impacts. But if you look at you and you alone, do you judge you? Now, if you're listening to this, yes, you judge you. I judge me. Everyone judges. It's a shame, but it's something we have to acknowledge. It's something that we do need to work on. Because if you continue to try to have a relationship with yourself and continue to judge, you're only going to make things more difficult for you. And this relationship that you get to have with you, I guess we could call it living your life. This is going to be your most long-lived relationship. And it's really the only one that has nothing to do with anyone else. It's literally the one thing that you get to have and to choose and to be that requires zero input from anybody else. which is quite unique. For most other things in life do require a lot of input or interconnection or involvement with others. But the relationship you have with you is you and you. It's not even you and you, it's you. And that is sometimes can be the richest, most fulfilling, most peaceful relationship. Or it can be very surfacey, very distracted, and not matured or dealt with. So let's start. What would a relationship with you that worked be like? What would it be like? Would you judge yourself in a relationship that worked? So let's go back to judgment for a sec, because it's where I started. Like, do you like yourself? One could argue that liking, and I'm using air quotes again, liking is a judgment, and it is. But I want to start sort of where most people can start. And I want to evolve the term liking to something I believe is more sophisticated and effective for a conscious relationship with self, which are the 5 elements of intimacy as coined by Gary Douglas, the founder and creator of Access Consciousness. We will get to those in a moment. Do you like yourself? So do you judge you? And that's like an obvious yes. Now, there could be negative judgment of self. I'm wrong, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm disgusting, I'm evil, I'm horrible, those ones. And then there's also positive judgment. I'm amazing, I'm perfect, I'm right. That's also judgment, but that's judgment in the positive spectrum. And if you're judging yourself negatively or positively, you're not really vulnerable with you. You're not actually being present with you. You're putting a point of view as a facsimile of you out. You're not actually connecting with yourself. Connecting with self is like so powerful. And when I say so powerful, like we don't even have words to talk about what connection with self or knowing yourself or having a peace as you and being you, what being you is. So I assert that that is one of the most worthy endeavors and quests of living, is to know you, to be at peace with you, and to enjoy being you. How do you know when you're being you? Well, you're not competing with anybody else. You're not worried about what anyone else thinks about you. You're not looking at other people's points of view about what you should think or what you should do. Being you is so easy that it really doesn't feel like anything. But you can use these benchmarks or these reference points to know more when you're being you, which are that you're not constantly worried about what other people think. You're not looking for other people to tell you what to do. Doesn't mean that you're not open to other people. Doesn't mean that you're not aware of other people, but you're not looking for other people's approval, other people's validation, other people's direction. Because you are being for you what you seek for others to be for you. And when you can be you without proving it, you can't even prove that you're being you. You can only be you. And this is this thing about you're the only one that knows this for you, which I think is very exciting. But it's a very under-practiced thing, since we're raised in these relationships that usually take us out of being us. They take us into being for other people what they want us to be for them, or what they don't want us to be. And it's like, I love my parents and I do not want to criticize parents, because parenting, in my opinion, is the 100% hardest thing there is to do on earth, is raising children. Parenting is so hardcore. It is so hard on so many levels. So this is not a criticism of parents, but there does need to be an acknowledgement of our parents' points of view and how that then sets us up in our relationships and the relationship we have with ourselves throughout the path of our lives. And I know what my parental dynamic was, and I had very evolved parents. who were doing their best to be open to a different possibility, but they still had points of view about what the kids should be, what the family should be, what I should be, what I shouldn't be, what I needed to be for them. Which, imagine if you were raised, like from day one, you were raised in this way where your parents were like, well, whatever you choose, I'll support you. Like, who are you? What works for you? And those questions were actually coming from a place of sincere interest in you, not as a trap to entrap you, but actually as an interest. So it's like if your parents project or expect of you to be something for them, that then sets us up to constantly think that relationships are about figuring out what other people need from us and what we should be or shouldn't be in relationship to others, rather than the relationship with ourselves being that we know what is for us. And that doesn't mean that we're delusional and resistant to observation of the world around us. This is not a insular thing where you put up walls to not be aware of other people in the universe. This is very different than that. This is, you know, you. And you don't have to explain it, prove it, justify it to anybody, and no one can give it to you or take it away from you but you. So when you have a relationship with yourself, as I'm framing it in this concept, you know you. You know who you are to a certain degree, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. And that's not the judgment of you. That's not well, I would like to say that I don't judge me at all, but that's not true. There is still judgment there, but there's also more so the awareness of what I know. And that's a very stabilizing and a very peaceful place and space. But if you were never asked, if you weren't encouraged to know what's true for you, to choose what works for you, and were supported in that, it can be very foreign, if not seemingly impossible, to know you, because we get set into all these reactive systems, into all these intertwining and all of these relationships that aren't about being you and others being them. They're about projection and expectation, judgment, control, being right, fitting in. So if you're looking to fit in, that would indicate you're not being you. Because when everyone's being themselves, there is no fitting in. Nothing fits. Everybody is unique. Everyone's themselves. And the concept of fitting doesn't exist any longer. So you know if you want to fit, or if you want someone to approve of you, you're not being you. Now, I'm saying these things that I believe are mighty and massive in a way that I almost wish that there was a more dynamic way to communicate these things because they are so massive. But how do you apply being you? Where's the choice? What is the choice that you can make for you to really like being you? So, number one, how do you know if you have a relationship with you that works for you? Number one, you like yourself. And I think we could even put some ratios on that. Like you like yourself the majority of the time. It doesn't mean that you're right. And I don't mean you're right, because being right and liking yourself are very different. Being right is a concept and it's a judgment. So we're not going for rightness here. We're actually going for you honor you. So here's the 5 elements of intimate self. You honor you. You treat you with regard. There's honor in your choices in your life. You're vulnerable with you. Vulnerability. You're grateful for you. Ooh, gratitude. You're in allowance for you. Allowance. What would that be like with self? Do you have allowance for you? Do you know what allowance is? Allowance is, I would say, the one that I have struggled with the most, which is the only reason I'm emphasizing it. However, allowance is the opposite of judgment. It's actually probably like the go-to tool or action that I take in my relationships with others and with me, although I think I'm better at it with others at this point than I am with me, but I'm getting better at everything all the time. I have to be an allowance of me in my other relationships too. And it's like when I can be an allowance of me in those relationships, OMG, does the charge and the difficulty and the upset disappear from those relationships for me. So allowance of self is amazing. Allowance isn't giving yourself permission to be an asshole. It's not letting yourself get away with bad behavior. Allowance is letting yourself exist in the equation too. Letting yourself exist in the equation too. And letting what you are be okay. And even if you are choosing bad behavior, even if you are being an asshole, it's recognizing like, okay, I am being an asshole, and being an allowance of the awareness that you're being whatever you're being without the judgment. Oh, I'm being an asshole, I'm wrong. Because I'm being an asshole, I'm wrong changes nothing. Oh, I'm being an asshole. Okay, is this working for me? Is this working to get the outcome in this relationship that I'm looking for? Is the question that allows you to choose because you are capable of choosing. You are allowed to explore and discover and find what works and be aware and make mistakes and recover from those mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And be an allowance of yourself in the process gives you the latitude to explore rather than be on the program of relationship that you've been on. So vulnerability, honor, allowance, vulnerability, trust, and gratitude. Trust is the only one I haven't really addressed. I actually like to evolve trust into knowing. I believe that trust is a very weaponizable concept. And many of us have been burned quite heavily by trusting in something or someone and then not having that work out. And then we think our trust is faulty or we don't know. However, you do know. And when you claim and own what you know, claiming and owning what you know, again, isn't being right. It's knowing. It's different. You don't have to defend knowing. You don't have to prove it. I mean, you actually can't prove it to anybody because as soon as you're proving it, you don't know. You're in rightness. So knowing for me is a very personal, very peaceful, very internal experience that I believe is probably one of my greatest strengths because I can usually get to what I know now as an adult. Like I had to develop this for 20 plus years. And how did I develop it? By this crazy question called, well, what do I know? And how many of our relationships suffer due to not wanting to know things. And let's focus back on relationship with self. It's like, what is it that you don't want to know about you? Because you believe if you do know it about you, you'll have to change your whole life. Or it would just change too much stuff. It would be too confronting to the lies, the stories, the act that many of us live and choose. So knowing is a different choice. It's a different choice in relationship with self. And for the most part, knowing is very underdeveloped in adults because we weren't taught in the beginning to acknowledge what we know, to function from what we know, to trust that we know. We were taught to figure out the problem, to get the right answer. We were basically taught in school that we don't know and that somebody else would teach us what we should know, which has nothing to do with knowing. It's mostly that's a whole other conversation. So you develop your own knowing by asking what you know. Literally, it's that simple. But you have to remember the question because it's so easy to get down the track and into all sorts of problem solving or reactive behavior. And then you go, wait, okay, so what do I know? What do I know? And what you know could be a variance, could be a variety of things. And knowing is easy and it is peaceful, but it isn't always pleasant. So, and sometimes it is pleasant. Like for me, knowing is peaceful, but it doesn't mean that what is changes. It just means that you know what you know. It doesn't mean that now you know, and therefore you get everything you want the way you want it in the universe. So knowing is the fifth, or trust/knowing is the fifth element of intimacy with self. Honor. What choice can you make today to honor you? Allowance. Vulnerability. Gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And trust/knowing. Those are the 5 elements of intimacy with self that were coined by Gary Douglas that I believe are kind of like your one-stop shop for improving your relationship with yourself. If you can increase, just imagine right now, if you could increase your self-honor, your honoring of self by like 5% this year. I know 5% doesn't seem like huge. I mean, we could go for 100%. And I also, this isn't about being perfect. This is about change and choice. Or what is it about for you? Like, what is your relationship with you about? And there are people who, like, I don't think that this conversation is for everybody. I know that there are people who would rather judge than be happy. Like there's that old saying, would you rather be right or be free? Being right is very seductive. Judgment is very seductive. It's very popular, but it is not psychologically conducive to honor, allowance, gratitude, vulnerability, and trust. And what do you want your relationship? What can your relationship with yourself be? And you got to look at it's like if you were never going to have the perfect relationship with your mother, your father, your spouse, your siblings, your friends, like, you know, whether you do or not. This is just, you have to look at like, if you can't get other relationships right, because let's face it, like not all of like relationships are good and bad. If you're lucky, you've got some really good relationships, people who don't judge you, who are there for you, who actually are present with you and don't project and expect that you need to be something other than you are. But in reality, there aren't a lot of relationships like that in the world. There's a lot of relationships that aren't present, where people aren't really being present with one another. They're not actually interested in the other person. They're either interested in what the other person can do for them or what being in relationship with the other person means to others. So regardless of what the quality or condition of the rest of your relationships are, the one relationship that you have 100% choice with, because you can't make other people choose or be different or do anything. The only relationship that you do have total reign over is the relationship with you. You are the only one who can change you, choose for you, be you. And are you enjoying that relationship? And what if you gave yourself permission to get to know you more? You could even look at it as like dating you or getting to know you more, whatever that is, like really taking an interest in what you would like to choose. If you were if you had your reality, if you were being you, and I know being you right now might seem like a concept and an idea, and for a lot of people it is, because they haven't actually been them. But eventually you can be you. That's like literally the one thing that's true. You can be you. So what would, if you were being you, what would that life be? What would it look like? What would it feel like? What choices would you make if you were being you? And it's as simple and as literal as finding out. Because right now you may or may not know, but do you take the time? Do you put the attention into finding out what you'd like to choose in all areas? And this is, when I say all areas, it is literally all areas. If you were being you, what would your relationship with, what would your psychological landscape with money be like? What would your relationship and your reality with your body, with movement, with food, with clothes, with travel, with where you live, where you choose to put your energy and attention on a daily basis? I mean, right now it's so relevant that there are so many things we can be putting our energy and attention on due to the incredible exposure to screens that we have now. Imagine if you were living 100 years ago, what your daily rhythm in life would be like. And I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying removing the distraction of your relationship with technology could give you more sensitivity to you. And now an advertisement sponsored by Consciousness. Have you heard of the Access.me app? The Access.me app is 25 plus years of Access consciousness classes. Now, if that excites you or overwhelms you, let me tell you that some of the most life-changing, epically, no words to describe the profound transformation of my life and the accessing of infinite possibility I have gained through the classes that you'll find in the Access Me app. If you were to purchase each one of these classes individually, you would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you were to attend each of these Access Consciousness classes, you would need to have been going to classes for 25 plus years, like me. But now, Access.me costs only $275 a month. So you're essentially renting these incredibly profound, priceless, literally invaluable classes that will access consciousness, transform your universe, and essentially educate you in areas that too often we really don't receive a good education. Like, how do we have easy, honoring, intimate, profound relationships with ourselves, with others? What would it take for magic to actually be what we turned to for having more money, for having more health? What would it take to not feel like all of your wishes and dreams for consciousness and lightness and being happy to not just be a stupid pipe dream that are never going to happen because what's honored here is density and intensity? Sure. And what do you know? Access.me is a treasure trove of possibility that you can subscribe to on a monthly basis to access more consciousness. How does it get any easier than that? Check it out, access.me online, and see you in the fields of consciousness. Honor, allowance, vulnerability, trust, and gratitude is really like the name of the game, in my opinion, for all relationships, especially the one you have with you. So I like to gamify the 5 elements of intimacy with self and prioritize one of those aspects per week. So I choose, for example, I choose gratitude. So that means that week of gratitude, I am committed to prioritizing gratitude for myself. Meaning, I write it on my calendar, and I might forget, I could get distracted. I could even get distracted for a couple days, but I put it in enough places where I can't ignore it. So it's on my calendar. I might write it down on my, kitchen. You could put a Post-it note on your bathroom mirror, whatever. Like you would, or you just choose. My dad's always like, why don't you just choose? So then it becomes this prioritization of gratitude. So in the morning, I force myself, if that's what's required, to get to the place and space of real gratitude for me. And when I say real gratitude, it's like, I can be very surfacey about it. Oh, I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for, my ability to schedule and plan fun things, like whatever. But then there's also this other level of gratitude that goes much deeper than that for me, which is like literal gratitude from that I live, that I exist, that I get to be me, that I get to experience this life. I have that gratitude and I take as long as I need till I get there. And then I ask myself, what am I grateful for? If I was being grateful, how can I grow my gratitude? What else is possible with gratitude throughout the whole day? So what if I'm stuck in a traffic light, or if I'm in traffic? Like, wow, like if I was grateful for this too, like how can I be more grateful for this? Like, how can I be more grateful for the fact that they just increased the wait time at the train crossing that I have to go over every time I want to go to town from my house, which they like literally just did. There's the train wait. When they would put down the gates for the train to cross, the gate would be down for like 30 seconds. Now they've increased it to, I think 2 minutes. I was like, what? Okay. And so now I run into that train crossing like so much. I have to wait at that train crossing so much more. Okay, well, what if I could be grateful for this too? And I'm not looking for reasons to be grateful. I'm not like, oh, well, I should be more grateful because now everyone's safer. It's not like I'm looking for reasons to be grateful. It's actually being grateful. Not because there's no reason. It's just gratitude. It is a muscle we have to build. Or what's one of the 5 elements that you're great at, and which one are you maybe less great at? Like I said earlier, how allowance is one of the weirder, harder ones for me. But trust and knowing are actually more easy for me. So if I was prioritizing for a full week, allowance, okay, allowance, what is that? What would it take for me to have more allowance for me, for others, for my body, for living? And allowance, yeah, we could go into each of these like really quite in depth. And if you're interested in this, if this conversation and these ideas spark for you, there will be linked. I did one mini power class, and I can't remember what I called it, but it'll be linked below. And it was about the 5 elements of intimacy with self. My good friend and colleague Simone Millicis also, I do believe, has done quite a bit of 5 elements of intimacy. So I will also link her classes and or intimacy with self content below, for it is worthy to learn this stuff, to know this stuff, to use this stuff. Could you imagine a world where people were vulnerable with themselves first and foremost? I mean, just imagine for a minute with me that like everybody, or like even just like half the population, a quarter of the population was vulnerable. Actually, let's just imagine you're vulnerable with yourself, meaning you don't have to be defensive. You don't have to be right. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't have to hide anything about yourself. You just get to be vulnerable and be exposed. And that's okay. And that's powerful. And that's not wrong. And that's not weak. That is a level of courage that then allows that which desires to give to you, that which can contribute to you, the beautiful life, the infinite resources of possibility. When you're vulnerable, it allows not only the universe to connect with you and support you more, but it allows others who are obviously part of the universe to care about you. all my strong, independent women out there, it's like, how much have you not allowed others to take care of you or love you or see you? How much do you avoid being open or vulnerable due to it's intense, or it's feels yucky, or it's not a strong place, or it's someone you don't want people to see the tender underbelly of you? But imagine if a world of vulnerability wasn't seen as a weakness or a disadvantage, but the quality, the vulnerability that creates the environment that allows your life to be a kinder, more beautiful place. Is that possible? Are you willing to find out? Do you honor you? Trust you? Are you an allowance of you? Be grateful for you? And there's the fifth one that I've completely forgotten. Honor, allowance, vulnerability. Vulnerability, obviously. I just talked about vulnerability. So, my beautiful friends, what would it take for you to be happy? Just happy to be you. Just happy in your life. If I could ask for anything, if I had a genie that could grant me one wish, if I got only one wish, my wish would be for everybody to be happy. 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 Not in reaction. Not wrong, not right. Not angry, not sad, not bad. Not confused. Not controlling. Happy. For no reason. How does it get better than that? I love you guys. Thank you for listening to this show. My target is to make consciousness easy to find and choose. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes and share this with somebody who you know who might be looking for more consciousness in their life. You can visit me on Shannon-Ohara.com or talktotheentities.com. And to learn more about the amazing tools of Access Consciousness, you can visit accessconsciousness.com and be sure to subscribe to the podcast.